Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this review I'll be going over two trades that I took today on stream inside my Discord with 600 plus members, and both were W. We took two longs today. We were correct with the bias, and I will share with you all how I was able to catch these two longs you see on chart. One long from here inside macro 950 to 1010, and another one inside silver bullet time period 1020 to 1040. So it happened inside silver bullet macro. So two longs, both delivered 1.5 hour, and I was able to make $3,000 with these two trades, and we were able to take 100 points. And now I'll be going over these two trades, helping you how you can catch trades like this, how you can sync yourself with the bias and see market like this. So let's go. How do I start my analysis every morning? I start my analysis every morning by looking at higher time frame. Without keeping the higher time frame narrative, it's impossible to find consistency on lower time frame. We probably will win one or two trades, but it's impossible to find consistency if you are not keeping yourself aligned in sync with the higher time frame. So first thing I do is look at the daily chart, look at the higher time frame like daily, weekly, if there's any SMT. All right, so I'm now checking on the daily chart, and there was a SMT when we started our morning. We have traded below this swing low on NQ, so Monday 13th Jan swing low. We have traded below it, and that was very much intact on ES, so that was a SMT. So first confirmation from the higher time frame that we are bullish. Now I'll be dropping down to the lower time frame and see what price is showing me before 9:30, right? I want to take a trade after 9:30, and that will mean I'll have to find out where price can go at 9:30, where it can do Judas, and how where it can do distribution after that. All right, so let's drop down to the lower time frames. So now I drop down to the 4 hour chart, and the first thing that I do when I jump to 4 hour chart, I look for what are the most high probability targets, where price engineered targets, and where most of the liquidities are. And how do I find liquidity? By looking for unfilled fair value gaps, by looking for trendline liquidity, and also relative equal highs and lows. There will be three targets that price will reach always. All right, there's no other target than these three. Is gonna be unfilled fair value gaps, equal highs and equal lows, and trendline liquidity, right? So we have traded below the overnight low here, and we're gonna discuss about this on lower time frame, like on 1 minute chart. But for now, we have generated SMT from daily chart. We have traded below this swing low. It is significant, and that's what we'll discuss on the lower time frame. And we have a lot of buy side liquidity left, and they look very, very clean, very, very smooth on 50-minute time frame. If you look at this 50-minute time frame, look how clean it is, right? How clean we are towards buy side liquidity. So the first thing that I do uh, every morning is to find out from the daily chart if there's any SMT or not, and where we opened that day. And the second thing I do, I drop down to the 4 hour chart, 1 hour and 15 minutes, to find out how we are doing stop hunts and where we have engineered and left majority of the liquidity pools. Like we have engineered buy side and sell side, both liquidities. We have equal highs up here, we have equal lows down here. So we have generated both of the liquidity pools. Right now, when I have a scenario like this, when I have a lot of equal highs and a lot of equal lows, what do I do? How do I navigate with that market? Right, I wait for price to do a purge, either above or below. All right, depends on the narrative, it depends on the bias. So as we are bullish, as we have a lot of buy side liquidity to take, and price did a stop on lower, and there's a bullish SMT from the daily chart with ES, what am I gonna be expecting? Yes, I'm gonna be expecting a delivery to these relative equal highs and to the unfilled fair value gap from the 4 hour chart. Now we'll drop down to the minute chart, and I'll show you how I saw that trade and how we traded it. So before we drop down to the minute chart, let me show you one thing. We are now looking at the 5 minute chart, and we are now looking at the time period before 9:30 delivery, all right, before 9:30 opening, and that's where we were. We have a lot of buy side liquidity to take. We have a lot of sell side liquidity to take. So what do I do in a scenario like this? I wait for price to purge one side liquidity and then reverse with the bias. The bias is bullish. Now I will wait for 9:30 to open lower. We all know that 9:30 does a Judas, right? 9:30 we get to see a fake move before the real distribution happens. If you don't know about that, you still have a lot more to learn, right? So at 9:30 we expect a Judas, and then the real distribution happens. And I was expecting the Judas lower into the overnight lows. Let's drop down to the minute chart. There we'll see it much cleaner. And look where what we have here. Just before the opening is 9:29. We have a lot of buy side liquidity. You see a lot of equal highs. That's what price engineered before 9:30, and that's how you can frame a trade, by understanding liquidity pools, right? You can predict the Judas. Like this morning, I was predicting the Judas lower into this overnight lows because I saw a SMT on daily chart. That was the first bullish confirmation. Second confirmation was the unfilled bullish fair value gap. Sorry, unfilled bearish fair value gap on 4 hour chart, and a lot of equal highs. So now I'm expecting a Judas lower. Let's see if it happens. 9:30 opening, and we have delivered to the overnight lows. All right, once we are done with this review, then I will share the recording of the trade, how I executed that trade and how I managed it when I was streaming inside my Discord for 600 people. Right, I always share my trades and analysis there. I do the bias every morning and share the trade idea. So do not think like this is in hindsight. We have traded this live in front of other people, and let's take a look at what's happening. So there's this SMT. Now we are expecting this as a fake move, right? This bearish move lower. Why we are considering this as a fake move? Because of how price engineered and left buy side liquidity up here. It has a lot of equal highs to take. It has an unfilled gap to take. So because of the target, we expected this move as a Judas, and we were waiting for a real move higher. All right, and once price confirms the Judas, then I look for a fair value gap to invert as an inversion. All right, to turn into an inversion, I want to see this gap failed, and then I'll get to see my setup. So let's fast forward, and as you can see, the inversion got activated, right? So you can just simply go for a long from here. That's what I usually do, right? Once price closes a candle's body above, then I go for a long from the inversion with a stop loss below the inversion. That was the usual go-to setup. But in this scenario, we did not do it, right? We did not do it because look, we have a gap just below the inversion, and that is unfilled. That's a bullish gap. So if you have an inversion that got activated and then you see a bullish gap just below it, do not execute. And suppose if I'm executing from here, that's too much of a risk. If I'm putting my stop loss down here, it's 81 points in risk. We don't do that much of a risk. Usually we do 20 to 30 points on stream. So we were waiting for price to give us a better entry with less risk, right? And waited 920 to 940 did nothing, and we did not chase price. That's what you will learn from professional streamers. All right, I teach my students patience, that if you miss a setup, it's okay. It's really okay. There's no FOMO. More will come. So when price moved higher at this key level, we were like just watching it, being patient and believing the setup will keep repeating. All right, because of the risk, we did not take it yet. And let's take a look at what happens next and how we were able to take it. Price is chopping a little bit, and that's where the trade scenario appeared. Do you see it? We formed a swing low inside the inversion and traded below it, right? Retested basically the inversion again, and alongside we did a stop hunt. So a stop hunt makes a retest much more high probability for an entry. So if you have a breaker and that breaker has a swing low, for example, and then we are retesting inside it, wait for a reversal to happen once we purge below that low. So once the purge happened, I was very confirmed that I want to go for that trade, and it was also the macro. Look at the time, you can see it just below. It's 9:56, so we're trading inside 9:50 to 10:10 macro. So once I'm expecting reversal, the next thing that I do, I look for a inversion or a fair value gap to fail. So in this scenario, we got a fair value gap. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and let's fast forward, and that's where I took the entry. All right, as soon as price closed the candle's body above this gap, I took an entry at 10 a.m. candle, and that was our stop loss. Our stop loss just below the inversion, and we targeted this buy side liquidity up here. You're gonna say, Hydra, why are you not targeting the overnight highs, right? It's because price was moving a lot and I was only targeting for 2% of my account to make it, and that's what I made with this much of delivery. And look at that, price closed the candle's body above. As soon as it opened and retested to the inversion, that's where we took the entry. When I show you the recording of the execution at the end of this review, you will see that's where we executed, and we closed as soon as price moved to the target up here. That was the trade of ours, the first trade inside 950 to 1010 macro. All right, and then a sharp drop happened, so basically our entry was also very algorithmic, and then price eventually moved towards the overnight highs. Now guys, remember, we have talked about this at the beginning of our stream. Those who watched it, we share bias every single day, and we were 100% correct with the bias. We predicted the Judas lower, then the distribution higher. We also had taken already a W trade. Now I'll show you the next trade. All right, the next W trade I took, it was inside silver bullet 1020 to 1040. But for that trade, I'll take you on 15-minute chart. So now we are looking at the 15-minute chart, and we have delivered above the overnight highs, right? So we cleared buy side liquidity. We have traded inside the unfilled 4-hour gap, and as well we have activated a breaker block here. That's a bullish breaker. And how do you know a breaker block activates? When do you know a breaker block is high probability for entry? When price closes a candle's body above that breaker block. So that's a bullish breaker. We need a closure to activate the breaker. That's a 15-minute chart, 15-minute candle, and we have a closure, right? So once I see the closure, then I drop down to the 1-minute chart, and as soon as price retested inside the gap, inside the breaker, I looked for a re-entry from the breaker, because there's a bullish PDA. That's a clean A plus breaker, bullish breaker. I'm not gonna be looking for a short from here when the pattern is indicating more higher prices. Right now, let's see how I took this trade. That's our 15-minute breaker, and as soon as we closed above, I did not enter. All right, I waited, because look at the time. The time was not inside macro. 10:14. We execute inside macro only. That's how I teach. That's how I found consistency, and teaching my students consistency as well. Now let's wait here. All right, let me show you one thing. All right, let me show you one thing very quick. Do not miss this, because if you are new to this industry, if you're new to inversion, you need this. All right, as soon as we cleared buy side liquidity, look, there was an example of inversion, and many people, trust me, went for a short from here, but that was not a short. I also informed my viewers on stream inside Discord, my students, that do not go for a short from here. As long as a higher time frame bullish area like this 50-minute breaker block is getting respected, you do not want to look for a short, right? So once this bullish 50-minute area gets violated, then I can look for a short. All right, so let's get back to the candle, and we did another stop hunt here. Now I'm not gonna be going much over why I need to see a stop hunt here, right? Why price has a significance of stop hunt here. I go over this inside my Discord, so if you're interested to learn about my strategy, you can join my Discord and understand all the stuff. All right, but this entry signal appeared after price retested inside the 50-minute breaker, and then when it activated this lower time frame order block, that's where I took the entry. All right, I took the entry here with a stop loss just below this order block. So I'm referring to the down close candles here, not the up close candles. Noobs will consider this as a breaker block. I do not. All right, so I consider these as an order block, and as soon as price closed the candles body above it, I had my entry and I was aiming for around 2R with a stop loss down here. And look at the delivery afterwards. All right, full 2R delivery. We have closed. Our stop loss was just below the order block. All right, below the midway of the order block, not actually below it, because I was not putting it down here, rather down here. You will see it in the recording. And that was the last trade I took. So two trades. One was from here. We had to wait a little bit, otherwise we would have taken a trade from the inversion. We were waiting because the risk was too much, right? We are moving a lot. 80 point stop, I do not do that. So that was our first trade with a stop loss down here that delivered 60 point. I know it looks like a very small trade. It wasn't. 60 point here, then another 50 point here. So we're up by 110 points. And this week, this was our third consecutive winning day. We only had one losing day this week. We have traded 4 days, one losing day inside Discord, and 3 consecutive W days. All right, so that was done. That's it for the review. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll try to make these type of reviews more. And if you want to take trades like this, and if you want to learn from me, I do not just teach in hindsight. I teach my students on live stream every single day. You can join my Discord. You can find the link in the description below. I also have a 25% discount inside my Discord going on for 24 hours only. Okay, that's a limited discount because we had a very good week. We made huge profits. So use code Hydra25 to get a 25% discount inside my Discord if you're interested to trade with me like this and learn. And now I will share the review. If you like this review, leave a thumbs up.